Okay, I think I'm done talking about Star Wars for one lifetime. I think it's time I find something else. Maybe find something here on Netflix that doesn't have such a tendency to generate psychotic fans who generate memes and remind you that you're an idiot. Let's see. New releases. Here we go. Oh, okay. The Witcher. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the most memorable thing about this entire show. Okay, that's probably not how the song goes entirely, but yeah. Toss a coin to your Witcher. Literally the only thing anyone remembers from this show. Okay, maybe not everyone. I mean, people who like the books and like the video games probably remember loads more from the show than Dum Dum over here probably does. See, the thing is, I had no interaction with any of the books or any of the games. I knew the games existed, that's about all I could really tell you before this point. I found out about the books later on, and I heard the really interesting story about how the gaming studio basically fucked the author on that whole exchange, and it's one of the more interesting cases of this is why you hang on to your intellectual property, and this is why you make sure to establish a copyright and all that stuff, you know. This is why you do it, because you might get a crooked game studio like this who wants to make money off of your product and then take everything. I don't know if that's still going on or if it got resolved somewhere down the line, but we're not here to talk about that right now. We are here to talk about the show on Netflix, and as my earlier words may have implied, I didn't hate this show, but it's pretty forgettable for me personally. Okay, look, I didn't go into this wanting to be meh. I didn't go into this wanting to hate the show. I don't go into anything wanting to hate it. I want to like this, and especially in the case of The Witcher, where there are some people I know who love The Witcher and they obsess over it like crazy, and you know, I'm just kind of doing the polite nod and, you know, yeah, that sounds pretty cool, dude. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I could probably bullshit my way through a Witcher conversation, but I figured, you know, this is a TV show. It's based on The Witcher. Maybe if I watch it, I'll see what the big deal is, and, I'll say this much for the show. It's not terribly made. It's got a budget behind it. It's got some good performances. Although I have to comment that the main character of the show is your typical badass stereotype of, I talk very deep like this. It's like Christian Bale's Batman voice, but with a British accent. I'm so badass, and you can tell because it sounds like I drank gravel for a recreational activity. I can't remember who told me about this, but somebody once said that if they're doing the Christian Bale Batman voice in an attempt to sound more badass than they probably are, you might want to lower your standards just a little bit. And normally voices don't bother me a whole lot unless they're like really, really annoying. I don't mean to pull up Star Wars, but you know, Jar Jar Binks. But, you know, I heard that Witcher guy do the voice, I can't remember if his name is Gerald or Geralt, but I remember he did his voice, you know, he talks with that deep, mysterious voice. It's like, oh boy, we're in for an ordeal, aren't we? Fortunately, I didn't think the show was an ordeal. It wasn't bad. I watched my usual 3-episode sampler when it comes to Netflix, and honestly, aside from the fact that toss a coin to your Witcher is now stuck in my head, I'm unfortunately not really seeing a whole lot of motivation to keep going after episode 3. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but there's just something about this show that isn't gripping me. which I really find kind of disappointing because I really love like swords and sorcery stuff like this. I love the mythos of stories like this, and I love the magic system when it's well explained and actually makes sense to a degree. I love a lot of stuff about the fantasy genre and stuff like this, but for whatever reason, this just wasn't gripping me for some reason. I don't know if this is going to be one of those classic cases of the book being better, or if the games were better, or maybe I'm just not feeling this show like I thought I would be. Maybe it's one of those situations where everybody talked about it and hyped it up to the moon, which built my standards up way, way higher than they really needed to be in order to enjoy this, or I don't know what the situation is, you guys. I just wasn't feeling this show. Bottom line, my score is going to be 2 hats out of 4. However, I preface that if you're a fan of Witcher stuff, and if you're a fan of the books, if you're a fan of video games, I have a feeling that maybe you'll want to add an extra hat to my score because, you know, you like this stuff, you have a much better idea of what to expect and what's going on, and you'll probably get more out of it. So for fans, I give it a 3 out of 4. For average normies like me, I give it a 2 out of 4 because that's just how it is. And that's going to do it for this week's edition of Hatflix and Chill. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and if you don't hate me too much, be sure to check out the channel for more Tommy Teal Hat goodness. Until next time, folks. Put my hat on crooked. Ugh.